Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Okay, I think everybody knows where Hair Today is. That's Joe Heffley in the lower floor down in the basement of the lower floor building. You can learn lots of stuff if you go see Joe. Joe's been cutting hair for, golly, I think 50 years. 50 years. In fact, I went to have him cut my hair on his anniversary because I wanted to be a part of history. Joe Heffley's history.
50 years.
Wow. Yeah, 50 years. And then Tom's Tree Place, we like to talk about them because they've been here in Lubbock for over 70 years. The Scarborough family's been doing that. They're at 34th and Slide. And you ought to know that by now. They've been there for over 70 years at 34th and Slide. There probably wasn't anything around them when they were there. So at 34th and Slide. And we've got these little fountains in the backyard, little pots that bubble up, bubblers in the backyard. Tom's Tree Place has that, and they can show you where to put them, how to do it. They can help you landscape. So go see our friends at Tom's Tree Place. All right, let's finish up our Scotty Scheffler deal, because lots of times on this show we wander and we'll start a story and we just don't finish it.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to finish this one. But I'm going back to the police. I thought they handled themselves well, and I thought Scotty. And this is going to be a PSA right here.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Public service announcement right here on how to get arrested. Do it the way Scotty did.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Put your hands behind your back. And that's another thing I've had the opportunity to do. When you get to be my age, you've had a lot of opportunities. I had the opportunity one time in 1974 to be arrested.
All right.
Yeah, and believe me, I wouldn't tell you the story if I had done anything wrong. So I didn't do anything wrong, but the people I was riding with, and they didn't really do anything wrong. They were just making fun of the people that worked at Der Wiener Schnitzel at 2 in the morning. And the people at Der Wiener Schnitzel were more powerful than these. And I'd tell you these people's name, but I have no idea. They were just giving me a ride.
Wow.
So I have no idea. I've never seen them before that day, and I've never seen them after that day.
Really?
But they got me arrested. But anyway, I'm a clean-cut college kid, and the policeman got me out of the car. I'm envisioning Scotty Scheffler getting him out of that car. They said he was handcuffed within 30 seconds of dragging that policeman. He was handcuffed. And, I mean, he jerked me out. He jerked my arms behind my back. He handcuffed me. He pinned my head to the deal. He ran me across the parking lot, and he pinned me against. I mean,
You didn't say, hey, that's my throwing arm. You
didn't
throw one of those in
do
there?
you have any idea who I am?
Come on.
But I didn't pull that, and Scotty didn't either.
No, he didn't.
So what I'm trying to tell you folks out there is there's a way to be arrested that you don't get beat up or shot or, don't run, don't fight.
Yeah.
If you don't run or you don't fight, your chance of survival goes up dramatically.
It does. So. Yeah, he did it the right way, and then he handled it well in the press conference afterwards. He's sitting there praising the police officers, saying, so it's obvious there was absolutely no malicious intent from Scotty Scheffler. Big misunderstanding. He was told, hey, the players are supposed to go around and go. He was told that they're supposed to go a certain way. Apparently one or multiple police officers didn't get the same message, and it caused confusion.
Let me tell you what, if you're the popcorn vendor or maybe you pick up the trash around the deal or any number of jobs on a golf course, you could be the president of the club and you probably don't have the power that those players have on this particular 4 days.
Right, and they have clearly marked cars. If you've ever been to one of these PGA events, they have cars that say player courtesy vehicle on the side of them, and that's what the
But I'm going to help the policeman here. It's raining
and dark,
and it's dark.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to give the police credit for that.
Which
but
is
they
where
need
I
to
give Scheffler the credit for not seeing them.
The credit for
seeing them or seeing these dragging or whatever. Again, I think this is one of those where both sides should say, let's let it go away.
That's right.
No harm, no foul. Besides,
let's call it a push.
Maybe
it's a wash.
Yeah, I think that's what should happen in this situation. Both sides have handled it
so far, so good,
admirably. And I think it would be wise of Louisville PD to to just say, okay, wait, it was a big misunderstanding. Let's drop all the charges. Especially if they want to.
I'll say this, Choice. I'll say drop most of the charges. I think you have to.
Give him a ticket.
He went around. There's your ticket for driving on the shoulder.
Okay,
but there's nothing other than that. There's nothing malicious going on here. I'll tell you what. Here's something pretty. And I've been around Scheffler. I've told this story a couple of times on the show. Is when they had the Big 12 golf tournament here. I just went out to watch the tournament and.
Was that match play event that they had here?
Yeah, I need to tell him that's great. But anyway, I was out there, just supporting Greg Sands, who's about to zoom in here with us.
Yeah.
And so we're on the 18th green watching them come in, but they flipped the course out at the Rawls, and 18 was 9.
Right.
So they got to get over to the number 1 tee box. So Greg says, hey, you mind running some of these guys over to the number 1 tee box? I said, no, that'd be great. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this guy walks over, and he's a UT guy, so I'm not going to make friendly with him. But he was so nice and all. By the time I got over to the number 1, he hopped on the back, and by the time I got over to the number 1 tee box and dropped him off, and he was a tall, good-looking kid, and it was Scotty Scheffler.
That's crazy.
And so he's one of him and Mark Griffin are 2 of the UT people that I sort of like. So let me tell Greg that yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what everybody would tell you. Anybody that spent any time around or watched Scheffler, he's Mr. Nice Guy of the league. I think maybe combated by Ludwig Oberg as the 2 nice guys on the tour.
Yeah, they're battling it out for nicest guys.
Too bad Oberg couldn't. He struggled a little bit. I wonder how much that knee issue is bothering him.
Well, I don't know. He came to Lubbock and he played 2 rounds that I know of.
Yeah.
He played here, and Greg probably know more about it than me because he talks to him. Greg, you were probably going to go to the PGA today, weren't you?
No, we got a big tournament of ourselves preparing for, so no, I haven't made many trips to see Ludwig play except for the Ryder Cup.
All right. Well, you've got a big one in front of you, and I don't know when it starts. I know it's out in Carlsbad, California, and it's this week.
We're going to leave Tuesday. Official practice round is Thursday, and then the first round is Friday. So, but yeah, we'll be leaving. We have 3 guys playing the U.S. Open qualifier, sectional qualifier in Dallas. So we'll pick those guys up Tuesday after they play Monday, and head that way to Carlsbad.
Well, before we go to next week's tournament, let's brag on this week's tournament because, all right, is Skogan, is that how you pronounce it? Because we called Aberg for 4 years, so I want to make sure we get.
I did for all 4 years myself. So
okay, Bard Skogan, who his coach the week before him winning the regional did not even have him on the team for the Big 12 tournament. Can you explain that, please?
We subbed him out after 2 rounds.
You did what?
We pulled him. We could sub at the conference and regionals. So he played poorly. We pulled him, and lo and behold, he gets his act together and wins the regional. So he's a great kid. He's answered a lot of challenges by me this year. He's a senior, and I challenged him really hard probably in February and said, hey, I'm not going to take you to another tournament if you don't qualify. So
you know what? I am so proud of you as a coach because a lot of coaches are afraid of hurting kids' feelings or they might not be able to handle it if I put a little pressure on him. You put pressure on that kid. You benched him. And he said, okay, I'll show you.
Yeah, he responded. Yeah.
Well,
exactly, and that's what you want. That's the culture we have. So,
all right, Chois Woodman's here with me this morning. I got one question for you. Explain because Chois and I know most everything about everything in sports, so we probably know the answer to this. But you got, I thought that you used to have 6 golfers and you counted the 5 best scores. Is that anywhere anymore? Or is it just 5 golfers and all 5 scores count?
It's 5 count 4.
Okay, 5 count 4.
We have played a couple of tournaments at 6 count 5, but in conference regionals and nationals, it's we get to bring 6 players and we have 1 sub, and we play 5-count-4, but we can sub that 6th guy in at any moment if we need to. So, for example, like, at the Big 12, we did make a sub. I subbed Vicente Marcilio, played for Board. So that's what we were referring to. So
yeah.
But yeah, we have to take 6, but the format's 5-count-4.
So how good is this team? You know what the potential is. How far can they go this year?
We're going to be the 8th seed in the tournament,
mm-hmm.
and that basically means out of the 30 teams, you're trying to get to the top 8. So, if you just go off what the computers tell you, if we play like we're capable, we can make that 8. But we don't have much margin. I mean, this team's done some really, really nice things. I think early on, we get a run through tournaments in a row where we get all the way up to, and we're playing some great golf, and things were probably, in the frame of mind where you're like, hey, we can't play bad, and then all of a sudden you hit a rough patch, and we didn't play good at the end of the spring, and we went back to work. We basically, after conference, not playing good at conference, we requalified for 4 spots for the regional, and
tell them the process.
That's a pretty big deal at the end of the year to do that.
What's the process for requalifying? Tell everybody how that happens.
Yeah. Well, we basically played 4 rounds, and the best 4 guys get to go. And so we let all 6 guys figure out the top 4, and that's pretty uncomfortable when you for coaches and the guys, because your number 1 guy has to go requalify, your number 2 guy has to requalify, but we felt like we needed to go earn something and get back to competing. And I think everybody kind of felt good about themselves, and we needed to shake it up a little bit.
Okay, Coach, suppose last year you did that and Ludwig has a bad couple of days and he doesn't qualify. Do you say, or do you say, sorry, Ludwig?
Well, first of all, he didn't have many bad days compared to the other 5 guys. So his bad day would have been good enough. So we wouldn't have worried about that. But, I think we just needed that. This team, it doesn't have a Ludwig on it. It has a bunch of really good players, but that's what kind of could make this team a special team, is that we don't have a superstar, and that we all know we have to go play good. The coaches know we have to go coach well. I think, the last 2 years with Ludwig, we all kind of just waited for him to do something. And this group is embraced. He's not around, and we got to go do it all together.
Speaking of Ludwig, I mean, this guy's he's got a trajectory to be top 10 for a really long time in the pro world. What does that do for your program? It's recruiting wise and other?
Yeah, I tell guys, Ludwig is the gift that keeps giving. I mean, we, you normally you have to sell a dream of what can happen at your place, and now you get to tell a story of what did happen, and that's a powerful thing, especially in Europe, and all those kids see him do well so quick, play in a Ryder Cup, and we got on paper we got the best ranked European player coming from Scotland next year.
Mm-hmm.
And another really good player that was ranked number 2 for the 24 class. So we have the 1 and 2 players on the rankings coming over, and then we have the number 1 kid in 2025. So that's what Ludwig will do for you is you get in the house, so to speak, of these kids and tell them, hey, I want you to come do the same thing he does. They're ready to come. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's changed the game in Europe some, and I think it's also changed the game domestically. I mean, those guys, he's playing the PGA Tour. He's not playing the DP World Tour. So a lot of the American kids are seeing what he's done, and it's just given us a lot of notoriety and a platform to tell a story.
Well, we see what NIL does for college football. How prevalent is it in college golf recruiting?
More than you'd think. In the SEC, those guys are doing a little bit more than us. We have a few guys on deals. Ludwig had a big deal with Adidas and Titleist, and they paid him, when he was doing his, he would do his stuff over in Europe. So they figured out a loophole there. But, I suppose it's there. It's not obviously like basketball, which is, those kids are bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars. So in football too, but it seems like basketball is kind of the sport that is the, I guess, NIL is the most prevalent. But we know that if the kid's a top 5 or 10 recruit in the country, they're probably getting some sort of deal somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Adidas, I don't know how much you can speak to it immediately, but I know branding has a big deal in a lot of different sports in college. How big of a deal is the branding and changing brands in college golf?
It won't be that big a deal for us. I suppose like, in basketball, those, that makes a bigger deal when you're getting into Nike or Adidas. Mm-hmm. Footwear, that kind of thing. But Ludwig is Adidas, so that was kind of a great deal since we all know that Pat had his hand in this and that helps. So I'm hoping that Pat keeps winning Super Bowl MVPs, and then Ludwig's number one.
Ludwig keeps.
And we've got we're Adidas, and we're getting kind of some special treatment, and I think we will because of those things. So that gets me excited about it. Their shoes and their equipment and the stuff, I think, will be something that we'll welcome in, especially on the shoes.
Hey, Coach, real quick, we're about to go away, and the reason we wanted you on was just to congratulate you so far, and then we'll congratulate you again after next week, believe me. But real quickly, people at home are probably wondering. It looked like you were either riding a horse or walking. So tell folks where you are.
Well, we're finishing up a round at the Rawls. We're on 18.
There you go.
Right in front of Kirby. We teed off at 6:40. I thought we may be done, but we're playing 3 guys, so I wish I was riding a horse, but we're on hole 18 at the Rawls.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate you, Coach.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Coach Greg Sands.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Okay. I was waiting to do J&W Services and Linco Distributors when we came back in Midland, so we're back on down in Midland, and what I wanted to make sure we talk about Brent Beck, Scott Blakely, Cade Walton, all of our friends down there at J&W Services. And if you want to know a lot about J&W Services, go to jandwservices.com. And you folks down there in the oil business, y'all know how important the wellhead is, and they can do it. They can do it all. We've toured their facility. It's top stuff. So anyway, J&W Services down there. All right, we got Gus, and I think we're going to. Did you text Scott and let him know we're going to call him?
Nope.
I can't. Well, don't call him just yet, Ben. I'm gonna.
By the way, I know you like themed apparel. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey.
Shaps in the regional.
Right, they won yesterday.
Yeah.
So tell us what the deal is.
That'd be great. Let me boot my computer and get it all up. I'll tell you. I'll tell you all that, Coach.
I thought all that stuff was in your mind.
Yeah. Just enough to be
You're making me feel good.
Who are you? Are you texting? Who you want? You texting Wilson?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll tell him we're about to call him.
Okay. All right. Perfect. He probably needs an alert.
All right. While you two are getting your
read another text.
No, I'm gonna read this 15 signs that you're an old person now.
Oh my God.
Oh,
perfect.
All right. You guys gotta tell me if you identify with this and see how many.
Good. I'm in the middle here. Young, middle, old. Sorry, Coach. Sorry, Coach Ash.
All right. Now who's the young one?
That's him. Oh.
All right.
Okay,
Chois, I was going to ask you earlier, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Oh, Lord.
I feel older if that helps any.
34.
I feel a lot older.
I'd already coached and been fired by the age of 30.
Taylor's 37.
He's born in 27, 87. What year were you born?
90.
So he's Taylor's 44?
I can't believe somebody's younger than Taylor.
1990.
24, no.
Wait, did I say 34?
Yeah, you did.
I'm actually 33. Sorry.
Okay.
I forget. I'm at that age.
So he's in
the
between.
Old Dumas education.
Yeah, I mean, the math is hard.
So he's kind of around your kid's age, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, I said 44. I'm not 44.
So, all right. So number one on the list of Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead and call Scott Wilson.
Yeah, we'll get
he said
Scott.
He's available. And
Let's
for
get Scott,
those
and then
that
we'll get
don't
to that
know
in a little
Scott,
bit.
you've seen him at the baseball games. You've seen him at football games. At the end of the different games that you watch Texas play, it doesn't matter win or lose, embarrassing loss,
Rain or snow
when that game is over, those players, UT players, will come over there and they'll put their little gun, their little hook'ems up, and Scott Wilson will lead them in the Eyes of Texas. Scott, how many times have you sung the Eyes of Texas?
Oh, I've been doing. I lead it on the road. They play it over the loudspeaker at home, but I've been doing it for most of 40 years on the road, leading it.
All right, on the road. See, on the road's not always pleasant. Have you ever had anybody sort of bow up to you?
Not really. Not really. Not one kind of jerk in Nebraska tried to shove me one time, but nothing really happened. Nothing's happened in Lubbock, So we know those people out there. So anyway.
Well, you say Nebraska. When I think of Nebraska, I think of the best fans in the world. Of course, they were winning for so many years that it's easy to be a good fan. But but you know what? It only takes one guy to make you think.
Yes,
that jerk in Nebraska.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, it was a long time ago too. It was right around when they came into the Big 12, like just about right around 99 or 2000 or something like that. So anyway,
it might have been the year Leach embarrassed them, and I mean embarrassed them. What was the score?
70-21 or whatever.
70 to something. So
yeah.
All right. Now, was it yesterday that you went to your 1500th straight baseball game?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I last missed a game in April of 2000, home and away.
Okay, because I told these guys earlier in the show that you not only you hooted on me when I played, you hooted on me when I coached, you hooted on Gus when he played, you hooted on my son when he played, and you're still doing it.
Okay, yeah. I'm getting pretty damn old by now. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that goes back 50 years. Well, almost 50 years ago.
Yeah. It's been a while. So anyway, yeah.
What do you?
Yeah, I realized that when the last time I missed a ball game home and away at Texas, none of these players were born yet. So anyway.
Well, did they do anything special for you last night?
Well, they had me take me out to the ball game over the loudspeaker.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I can actually sing pretty good.
Well,
so,
if you're looking for a time to retire from this, when you forget the words to the Eyes of Texas,
it's
time to move on.
The thing is, I could do the Eyes of Texas thinking about quantum physics. I knew something about it, and I can still do the words. I don't even think hardly about it. It just automatically does it. So,
well, y'all are actually pretty decent again.
Well, yeah, we've had some little bit of pitching problems, but maybe it'll come around. So, anyway.
Well, we've got the same problems. And I thought the whole conference was relatively weak. When I used to go down there, and we've got seats down there up close and personal. I'd go down there the first few innings because I wanted to see. Well, I wonder if I could hit this guy. And now I go down there this year and I go, yeah, I could hit that guy. But there's a lot of guys in the past that you go down there. Now there's some pitching, and there's just not much of it anymore. And I don't know why. Are people playing Donkey Kong or something? Are they playing video games? Are they
Quidditch?
I don't know.
What's the deal?
Teams stealing all the time.
So, you don't have the answer?
No.
Well, we called you to get the answer.
No. I just watch them and pray a little bit, So I don't, that's sometimes it needs that, but that's all we can do. So
all
anyway,
right.
but we're good. We're doing okay. So
All right. Of all the years out of the last 50, what teams would you put up there on the pedestal?
of course I've seen 4 national championships. In my lifetime, the only ones that have been in my lifetime, there was 49 and 50 before I was born.
Yep, Cal Sagers.
But one of my favorite teams was probably my most favorite team. Didn't win the championship; they came runner up. It was 1989, and it was kind of interesting because the Aggies have been number 1 all year. We were kind of sucking hind tit on that all year, and the Aggies had the regional. They got beaten by LSU in their regional, and Cliff gets up there the next day when we won our regional, and he says, "I got a question for you. Where are the Aggies now?"
Yep.
So it was great. He was apologizing for it almost immediately, but it was great.
That A&M team that he's talking about went like Coach asked. They went like 59-6. I mean, they were ridiculous.
It's something like that. It was.
Yeah.
They were number 1 all year long.
And,
I think.
Yeah.
And the Arkansas, we all had regionals. What Arkansas did, but the only one that blew it is the Aggies. So anyway, it was Ben McDonald was pitching for them way back when.
And it was before LSU was LSU. The LSU
correct.
that had won all the national championships, and they went into A&M and beat them twice. And Skip Bertman famously said, when we win this first game with Ben McDonald on the mound, I think I'm right about that, on the got to beat him twice today. He said, and it was going to be a deal where they had to make them switch dugouts.
Oh, wow.
After if we play the second one, because instead of just letting them be home team out of the first base dugout or whatever.
Oh, wow. That's
the old NCAA, and he said, you look them in the eye. You let, it's a super intimidating kind of story. You look those suckers in the eye. I probably didn't say suckers. And like at A&M and at their place packed, and like stared those dudes down and eye contacted them all, and sure enough, they went out there and beat them on an 11th inning deal. And it's
good
LSU.
gosh. That's
LSU
great.
went there. Texas gets into the turnip to the College World Series, and Coach Gus said that, where are the Aggies now? Because it had been all A&M, and this was my senior year. And A&M beat us like a rented mule. Here, you broadcast it, and I took the. I remember getting that. I had a solo home run in the 3rd game of that to put us up 1-0, and that was the highlight.
So
Scott Wilson, that A&M team beat us like 26-3 that day.
Really? Yeah.
Well, how'd y'all do against Texas, Gus?
We lost 3, but we didn't get bludgeoned like that.
But they didn't get whooped. We didn't get whooped.
Not 26, no.
Well, Scott, y'all are fixing to head off to the SEC, and I'll tell you the truth, I'll miss you. I mean, I'll miss you guys because it's good to have somebody to love, and it's good to have somebody to hate, and I always had the opportunity to hate y'all. I guess I'll still hate you. It just won't be as deep a hatred.
I bet you'll call me up every once in a while just to get some of my BS.
Oh, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt. Hey, NIL, you've been a fan for 50 years. I know Texas is having to participate in the NIL deal. You got a take on the NIL?
Not really. I've been. We've got a fund for NIL, and I don't donate too much to it, but I donate like $100 a month. But I'm not big on NIL. So the thing is that everything's been changed so much between NIL and the transfer portal. They're just changing things right and left. You can get guys to go 4 or 5 schools in different years, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well, how many new guys do y'all have this year over last year?
We have a number of guys on baseball. Got a number of guys, and there's some freshmen. There's several transfers too. So anyway, I remember all it, but there's still several guys that were here, like the most of the infield. The left side of the infield was there last year, and the catcher was here last year. So anyway, but some of these guys, we've got a freshman who's Max Ballou, and he's a pretty good hitter. He's so anyway, but he's freshman. So,
what kind of law did you practice that would allow you to be able to afford to go to all those road games? Because this 1,500, that's just a drop in the bucket to all the others that you've gone to.
Yeah, I did health plans for local governments. We used to have self-insurance pools out of the local governments. I worked for School Board Association for 10 years and then 17 years for the Municipal League. So that was most of my career there. But I was very specialized in it.
Well, it seemed like you had a job where you could pick your own hours because you were certainly out of town a lot.
Well, the last 3 jobs I took, I negotiated it on the ball games before I accepted the job. So anyway, yeah.
Well, you're a fascinating fella, and you're right. We will keep up with you from time to time, and I wish you well. I'm neutral on UT, but I wish you well, my friend.
Well, thanks a lot. You too, man.
All right.
All
right.
All righty.
All right.
Take
Go Red
care.
Raiders.
Okay, hook 'em, baby.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Craig Wells sent that to me that it was his 1,500 straight game, and I thought, well, we need to get Scott on.
I'm glad he did. I saw that tweet this morning, and yeah, very cool. And he's as sincere as he can be. His house is it's not a palatial whatever.
If I ever go to Austin, I'm gonna go by and see him because it's like a shrine to UT, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's got the cool thing that you would like is it's got he's got a bunch of stuff. I mean, yeah, there's hats. It's a mess, but it's just what you'd expect it to be. But he's got like handwritten notes from Norm DeBryan and stuff framed on the wall, and so you would have memories. Yeah. He's got a picture of, he's got some party pictures and stuff of some people that you go, I remember him, and you might not like that person, but that they'd been drinking some beer together and stuff. So
and lots of times he'd come to Lubbock, he'd stay with Cal and Becky.
Yeah,
over
absolutely.
Cal and Becky's house, Coach Segrist, and
he's get the news, like the old newspaper machines where you drop a quarter in and open. And they have that little piece of cardboard that would be saying like what kind of what was going on. If I'm in St. Louis, get your Cardinals coverage today, and so people would take those because they're kind of neat keepsakes. He would take that thing in Omaha every year at the College World Series, so he's got a bunch of those. And he's got, and I don't think this is super secret, but he's willed a bunch of his stuff to the College Baseball Hall of Fame because it's like, he's not gonna need it anyway.
Which is going to be where?
Overland Park, Kansas. Yeah, Kansas City.
Kansas.
Yeah, maybe where the new Kansas City Royals Stadium is, if you based on the political comings and goings there, because that's right across the border. It's still in Kansas City, but it's not in Missouri. It's in Kansas now. So Kansas wants to get a steal, but they can still call it Kansas City.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Okay, I got cut off a little there on the end on Plains Capital Bank, but I was telling you how loyal they were to our show for the last 15 years, but they're also loyal to the city of Lubbock and the athletics here in Lubbock, Texas. So anyway, we're proud to be a part of them. Brent McGavick and the bunch over at McGavick Nissan. I keep saying I'm going to come down there and see y'all. I am. Change is hard for me. I don't take change well. I've been in the same house for 25 years, same wife for 35 years, same car for 10. I just don't do change very well at all. But when I change, I'm going to come down there and see you guys at McGavick Nissan and Infiniti. And I've started noticing there's a lot of good-looking Nissan cars. There's a lot of good-looking Infiniti stores. So go by and see those guys at Spur 327 and Milwaukee Avenue. So if you're hungry, go to Milwaukee Avenue. If you need a car, go to Milwaukee Avenue. There you have it. What'd Curry have to say?
He should be dialing him up as we speak. So
Okay, well, good.
as soon as Ben gives us
And
the
I'm,
point.
I'm excited that Curry's going in. We were going to put him in last year. I'm on the board that votes on this stuff, and we were going to put him in last year, but he was going to, when we're going to have the event, he was going to be on a cruise, as it turns out. Curry, did you go on said cruise?
I'm here. Not cruise. It was actually Africa. There was no cruise involved.
That's better than a cruise.
It was actually Africa, but and come to find out, I didn't get to go, but my lovely wife went with her dad and sister. So they went and enjoyed an unbelievable time. She brought a book back that looks like it's from a movie. But yeah, that was the deal with last year, but they went and enjoyed it. And so I was home for 3 weeks, and after about a week, I'd forgotten how to live by myself. So,
and you know what I was thinking, he didn't go. He could have gone to the banquet. But no, you need the family there at that banquet because this is a big darn deal, and you're a big darn deal. So we're looking forward to you being there, but also your family being there.
That's very kind of you, Gary. I was listening to you a second ago. Has anybody ever mistaken you for being like from New York or somewhere in the Northeast? I don't think that's probably ever happened to you, has it?
I've got a distinct West Texas voice.
Before we talk basketball or Hall of Honor, 2 quick notes on what you just said. First of all, you're absolutely 100% right about Mac and what his guys do and girls do for the banquet. It is unbelievable once that comes together, and what he does for 6 months getting it ready is pretty amazing stuff. So yeah, he needs to be commended on that. And then, fun fact, if you just want to know it, is your Barry Ballinger from Plains Plains National is a pilot. How about that?
Yeah. And where have you been this morning?
Oh, where have I not been? So I met my oldest son at the Lubbock airport as he flew from Denison to here with a student. Braden is now a CFII, which is a certified flight instructor.
Wow.
And he is training pilots out of an airport in Denison and Addison. And he called me last night and said they were leaving at 3 a.m. to come to a cross country. If I could bring him a Taco Villa breakfast burrito at about 6:30 at the Lubbock airport. So it was really neat to get to do that. Braden decided that's something he wanted to do a couple of years ago, and he has been very, very aggressive in it. He had a wonderful experience coaching and teaching with Jimmy, which I know if y'all, I don't know if y'all talked about that or not, but that's probably going to be on the docket for a conversation that's going to be coming up between a Lubbock team and a Grapevine team again pretty soon. But anyway, he's piloting, and I met him out there. He's wanted to do it, and he kind of gave me the itch, so I jumped on board, and so this morning I had to actually fly Barry. I'm in a partnership with Barry on a small plane, and so I went out.
Hey,
to Lubbock.
you got an airplane, man.
Anyway. So I got to follow Braden. Followed us over to Slayton, where I picked up my friend, and he did some maneuvers over there. And anyway, so that's the story of Braden and what I was doing this morning. Now I'm going to be in loud, noisy gyms with pickleball, rollerball. If you're not doing anything from about noon till about 3, there's a roller derby happening at Premier Sportsplex. Yes, that's right. That's exactly what I said. A roller derby.
Joni Weston.
And then
y'all aren't old enough to know who Joni Weston is.
No, I can't say I am. So anyway, so that's all the news of the morning.
Other than that, he's got nothing going on.
Roller derby. Roller derby used to be like wrestling. It was pretty fake.
And if you watch it, they still it's amazing to me. It's kind of to me like, and it doesn't sniff the hockey guys. The hockey guys are the ones that I am, floored by about how they do what they do on skates.
Yeah.
That just is incredible to me. But I watched the roller derby, and they get pretty good on those roller skates and moving back and forth and avoiding people. So anyway, it is kind of a
is this legit roller derby, or is this that like wrestling?
No, it's not wrestling. It's legit roller derby. They are trying to score and avoid people, and it's really an interesting game or sport to watch and I don't know, it's kind of like cricket. I have no idea what the rules are. I have no idea what I'm watching, but it looks pretty good.
Okay.
But anyway, they do it out here about every month. They come out here on Saturday and they bring a big crowd of people and set up. We have enough big area out here to where they can set up a course.
So it's outdoors?
No, indoors. Indoors it combines 3 of our courts on one side of the building, and they set up a track and and get after it.
I mean, is it a banked track?
No, it's not banked. It's not banked. So it's still so that they don't go that far, but they set up the barriers and the cushions, and they put bleachers on the outside. And
if this is not a typical one of our shows, we're having Curry Blackwell on to talk about being in the Hall of Fame, the Lubbock ISD Hall of Fame, and we're spending half of our time with Curry talking about roller derby. So that's just not a typical day at the office.
You know that you could get my sports career, and all this is much more interesting than my 30-second description of my sports career. So.
Well, David talked about you earlier in the show, so I knew you were good, but I had no idea you were as good as you were. So now Gus knew how good you were.
I get better every year.
Yeah. That's the neat thing about getting old.
Well, it really is true, and Gus has been great to kind of put it out there to the other Monterey folks, but those that were around those teams in 84 and 85, I mean, it was such a special combination of players, and I certainly fit in a certain way, but the guys were the basketball IQ of those guys, and Gus is nodding his head, I know it already. I mean, when you talk about Brian Christensen and Brent Kinghorn and Rob Peterson and Trent Hilliard and Brent Rice. I mean, Pat Tarwater, Glenn Seal. These guys were, I mean, we would have won plenty of whatever school, event, engineering events or spelling bees or whatever. And they were we were a very good combination of guys that did certain things. And, I happened to be one of those that scored, but it was not, Brian Christensen, a stat that never needs to go unnoticed. He was 6'1", and he led the district in rebounding our senior year. 6'1" now, and he led the district in rebounding. So
is that the Brian Christensen that played baseball?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. We had.
That's a good old boy.
Christensen, Christensen and Rice that came from baseball. On that senior team, we only had one junior that played much, and that was Rob Peterson. But outside of that, it was all seniors. And in the junior year, it had Donnie Briggs and Big Gustafson. And we had kind of twin towers. Lindquist was on that team, Lance Lindquist and Gustafson. They were about 6'7" or 6'8", but then we got really small our senior year. But it was such I mean, when you looked at us on the court, we were not the get off the bus, look at the team. We were certainly not that.
Hey, Curry, and these were the first 2 years. Your sophomore year was Coach Mahaka. These are the first 2 years of Grady Newton. And that's
two really good coaches.
Yeah,
that's two really peculiar guys too. Mahaka and Gustafson and Newton were two peculiar fellas.
So again, I'll try to squeeze them all in as fast. So I went to Hutch in junior high, and it was as Hutch, I was kind of we were not very good class athletically, and it was Evans, Atkins, and McKenzie when I was in school. And my ninth grade year, all 3 of my years at Hutch, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade years, we won 2 games. I was 2-47 in basketball in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And my 9th grade year, we were 0-22. We did not win a game, 0-22. And then I went to Monterey, and Grady came there from Atkins as the JV coach, and we went 22-0 as a JV. So I automatically got to combine myself with all the really good players from mostly Atkins and Evans too. But so I didn't win a game my 9th grade year, and then went undefeated my sophomore year at Monterey on JV.
Well, that's a heck of a story.
So, but anyway, yes, Grady. It was a great combination. He came in and had it was kind of that same group that ended up being seniors, but we really were. A good group kind of from the start. We just all kind of got along, different guys, all kind of did different things, but Grady was certainly a glue, in his kind of own way, which, as you stated, it was really, he kind of let us play, it was one of those things that at that point in time was a little bit kind of a different deal. It was kind of the beginning of the era of kind of getting up and down the floor a lot. And that was, we weren't big. We didn't have a bunch of post players. So we couldn't really slow it down and do it. It was before the shot clock, but it was still, we had some athletes. And you mentioned them already, guys that were playing multiple sports. We had guys, Kerry Wallace came from football, Brent came from football. We had guys that would come from football and play.
Well, I want to go back real quickly. When I say peculiar, that's a term of endearment. Those guys are really, really, really. I enjoyed Coach Mahaka and I enjoyed Coach Newt. Who both of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And both of them feel certain to be at your induction.
Well, and you mentioned it too. When I stayed close to Grady for a long time and still have conversation with him. I stayed close with Coach Mahaka, even after he retired. And Coach Mahaka and his wife were good friends of my parents after we got out of school. And it really goes to, when you play these sports and then you get out of school and you realize, how close you stay with either your coaches or some of the other, people you played with and against. I think it's a really interesting dynamic that, I consider, Todd Duncan a really, really good friend. And, we played against each other pretty heavily for a few years. And then we're very fortunate, and this is where I'll bring guys like Craig Wells and David Gregory into these conversations. They put together those summer league teams that went and competed, with some national teams. And I got to know Todd and played with Todd outside of being, and Cole Hazy. Monty Hazy was a huge advocate of youth basketball back, huge. And so got to play with Cole, all those, the Coronado Monterey guys, the Coronado senior basketball team in '85 when I played was and I'll say this to anybody's face, they were the most talented team not to make the playoffs, maybe in the history of high school basketball.
How many teams made the playoffs back then?
Two.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those are still 8 or 9 team districts too. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 or 9. And Paladuro beat Coronado that year, and then that Coronado ended up third. But John Lewis and Cole Hazy and Todd Duncan and Robert Brashear and Alvin Moriel. I mean, these were that was an unbelievably talented team. And again, for whatever reason, and I do think there were a lot of teams that early on would literally look down at us warming up and going, okay, what are we doing here? And it was just a really good mix of players. And so anyway, that was another. I'm circling back to your Mahaka and Grady comment about getting to know these people after the fact, and still knowing them today from the high school standpoint. So you're right. I've enjoyed Coach Mahaka and getting to know Grady, through coaching, and then after coaching.
And just so we're clear, you guys lost in the region final. I mean, like you were
regional final, Fort Worth Southwest.
Winner goes to Austin.
Yeah.
Winner went to Austin, and it was disappointing. It's one of you have your disappointing moments of your career, and that is, if it's not at the top, it stands out because we had played pretty well. And at the last play of the third quarter, Glenn hit a shot and got fouled, and had a conventional 3-point play to put us up 1 going to the fourth quarter, and then we just couldn't hang on in the fourth quarter. Still remember that, and I didn't play very well. I could still remember that it was one of those games that I didn't have. They had done some things to cut off the things that I'd typically done well, and so I didn't have one of my better games. So that was disappointing. But you look back and you go, it was what it was, 30-4, and a chance to go to state, but certainly not a
stuff you remember the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh, I think about that all the time. And we used to have the baseball guys. Of course, we're all friends. We used to have so much fun getting all dressed up and like wearing the Monterey whatever. We all had goofy hats that we would wear to the games and get after the other teams and do all that. But then baseball season started, and so all of those playoff games that Curry talks about, we would literally, like, somebody would call somebody's mom, pre-internet obviously, to get the scores, and so none of us were there for any of the any of the postseason stuff. And we didn't have a first baseman because Brian Christensen's over there playing, through the tournaments.
So,
Curry, we got a minute left. Wrap it up for us.
Well, Gus is right about the fans. The fans at the box and that home field, that home court advantage was unbelievable. So thanks for giving me a few minutes, and I appreciate everything Gus does for all the promotions and you guys do on the radio.
Oh, we're looking forward to July. It'll be fun.
Hey, and start working on your speech now and start trimming it down.
I got 45 minutes, right? Is it 4 to 5 minutes or 45 minutes?
4-2-5. 4-5.
Y'all be good, guys.
All right, Curry.
Good to hear you, buddy.
All right, see you, bud. No, talk about that. You go to a banquet, it only takes one guy to get up there and do his 30-minute deal.
Curry, I'll close it. Curry, the second leading scorer in LCU basketball history.
In the history.
You've been listening to the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live Saturday mornings from 9 to noon on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.